Hey guys, it's Soundout here. Look at this. We got these really cool DC Multiverse figures we're looking at today. You see this Batman looks like he just pulled right out of the comic book. Super, super cool. Really nice, sleek cape. Really cool details. Really nice. Super awesome. Hope you guys get a chance to get this one coming at you in the near future. Yeah, there's like so many of these. There's not just this. There's all those. We got so much to look at today.
It's morphin' time!
Okay, camera rolling, Todd McFarlane filters turned off. Let's go. Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to the DC Multiverse 2020 Rundown video. For those that don't know, the Rundown videos is taking a look at an entire year's worth of action figures from a particular line. I've done this with Marvel Legends and G.I. Joe Classified series, and there's links around in the video for those if you're so interested. But yes, we'll be looking at the first year of McFarlane Toys' DC Multiverse lineup. And I gotta say that I did a parody of it in the beginning, but Todd McFarlane typically goes on camera to show off new product, and he's usually just on Instagram or Facebook, just kind of shooting a quick video. Sometimes he's sitting on his floor, sometimes he's half leaned over a chair. Wherever and whenever he'll have something to show, he does it in person, and I like that personal touch. McFarlane Toys is not a huge company, but they've been around a long time. This is, I think they've been around about 26 years or so. They kind of helped revolutionize the collector action figure market in a lot of their ways, because I think Todd is one of those people that pushes forward to do new things. And I think that was a good way to sum up DC Multiverse, because when we were going into this, they got the license in 2019. Mattel lost their master license. Warner Brothers chose to split it up so that Mattel still kept preschool and girls, Spin Master got boys' toys, and McFarlane Toys got collector's goods. And then now we've learned that DC Direct got axed because they felt like they didn't need them anymore. So, kind of sucks. I think that, rest in peace DC Direct. You did a lot of great stuff over the years, and we'll miss having your options of products. But in the meantime, we do have McFarlane Toys as the sole collector line for DC now. And I gotta say, when it first came up and we first started seeing pictures, I said, wow, that Hellbat looks cool, and then also proceeded to say I probably won't be buying this line. And the reason why is that at first we just came off of 12 years of Mattel doing 6-inch action figures. I have like 300 figures of theirs on the wall. Love that line. With McFarlane Toys, I'm going to be starting fresh because they're going 7-inch scale, because McFarlane typically does this larger 7-inch scale. I don't have anything in that scale. They're not going to scale well with the figures I have, so I was like, okay, maybe I'll get the Hellbat armor, because the Hellbat armor would scale with the 6-inch figures. Maybe I'll get the Batman Who Laughs, because it's a character we never got from Mattel or DC Direct. And so as it progressed, the first wave was rough, and I think almost everyone can agree with that. The first wave was rough. There was, inconsistent sculpting, weird proportion issues, joints that stuck out too much, just kind of a splattering of here's some comic figures, here's some animation, here's, one live action figure. It was all over the place, and I think that put a lot of worry in a lot of people's hearts, especially mine. I'm a longtime DC fan. I know I'm sitting in front of the Marvel Legends display. It's because the reverse side has a TV where all the DC stuff is, but longtime DC fan. If you want to notice my comic shelf, this side is DC, this side is Marvel and all of their publishers. So I am a hardcore DC guy, and so I wanted to collect the line, but I wasn't sure if this was going to be for me, because I was seeing, figures of characters I already had. I was like, okay, is there anything really new? Maybe I'll only pick up a couple figures. And now we fast forward to the fact that there was 39 releases of unique figures, non-variants included, and I picked up 32 of them. Yeah, so I think I want to talk about the biggest comeback of 2020 being McFarlane Toys. With most DC lines, they have to have a somewhat percentage of Batman and Batman-related characters. Like, that has to be a percentage of their output. This has been confirmed by a couple people that used to work at Mattel. Some other people who worked at other companies said, yeah, we had to have, like, this percentage of Batman, and then everything else could be separate. So with McFarlane, they found a way around it. And this is kind of what's sort of visionary, is that they put out a line that was probably half Batman's, but they're all different. Like, every single figure is a unique mold. There's a couple variants here and there, and we'll talk about those at the end of the video. But other than that, almost every single figure in this line is a complete new mold. And the 3 I have that are retools look completely different. Well, 2 of them look completely different. One looks very similar. But the fact that we have, like, you know, basically 40 figures, and only 3 of them are actual retools is insane. Especially since this line does retail for $19.99 in the US and $24.99 for Build-A-Figure characters. But that many unique molds is impressive. And I think part of that is also that with Todd McFarlane at the head of the company, there's not anyone above him in a corporate ladder that's going to complain about budgeting and such. So as long as he knows, and his team below him, his design team, knows where their profit margins are, I think that's where they get to. And the other thing I want to compliment on is exclusives. So, for example, I think I talked about in my G.I. Joe video, Hasbro went nuts with exclusives and filled up half the line with stuff that was exclusive to one store. And it was frustrating, because it was like, okay, well, once they're gone, they're gone. With McFarlane Toys, stuff started as Wal-Mart exclusive, or Target exclusive, or Amazon exclusive, but they're only exclusive for 3 months. And then they go to all other retailers. Like, I literally found... Like, they said that the Dark Knight's Metal wave with Dawnbreaker was going to be exclusive to Walmart until November. And then November 1st, I found one at a Target. Like, this is actually impressive, especially for the fact I found nearly every figure in stores without hassle, and all my online pre-orders shipped on time, didn't get canceled. It was refreshing. And I think the reason why is because McFarlane Toys is a company that's making collector product only, not kids product. Everything's ages 14 plus on the box. And I think that allows them to have a little bit more control, especially being a smaller company, not a big corporate structure. They're sort of independent. You know, as we go through this video, I'll be sort of like negative, mediocre towards the start, but then it's just going to kind of get into a lot of praise. And I think that this company deserves it. They've handled everything excellently. Communication is awesome. There's even stuff coming up now that's like, you know, oh, hey, here's a 2-pack with a red Nightwing and a red hood, but you can also buy Red Hood as a single at Walgreens or possibly Target. That kind of stuff that makes it appeal to collectors, but also casual fans. And I think that's the strength of this line, is it can appeal to both, but it is kind of collector-focused first, and that's what I really appreciate about it. So with all that said, I think McFarlane Toys is one of the best toy companies of the year in 2020. This was one of my favorite lines, if not my favorite line to collect. So let's break it down and take a look. For those that don't know the number system, for the rundowns, I rank everything on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 being garbage, 2 being underwhelming, 3 being could have been better, could have been worse, 4 being everything expected, and 5 being everything I wanted and more. I do not have any 1s on this list, and that is a first. So without further ado, let's begin. Before we begin, every figure in the line comes with a trading card and then one of 2 types of stands. So the trading cards look like this. They got a little bio on the back. I'll display these with the figures, but it's kind of cool that every figure comes with one. It's kind of got a nice like album of cards going on here. And then, yeah, it either comes with a stand that's like this, little standard black circular stand. A lot of McFarlane figures use this. These are bolded with the same DC logo on all of them. These are pretty handy. I definitely wish more figure lines came with stands. And then for characters that are typically seen flying, we have these type of stands, which have a little hook at the top that moves, and then you can adjust the width on it. And then also, if you don't want to use that, you can split it off, and there's a peg so you can rest it like this. Really cool stuff. I know this style stand's going into other McFarlane figures, but it started here. So I like that all the figures come with this. And going forward for the video, I'm going to be looking at the figures group by type by series alphabetically. So essentially for like series 1, for example, it's going to be, you know, all the comic figures alphabetically, all the animated alphabetically, live action alphabetically, etc., etc. So that's kind of how I sorted them out. And except for the Build-A-Figures, since those did have numbers on those figures in those waves, so look at those in those orders. But yeah, if you're wondering what the order is, alphabetically by type by series. Kicking off the line is a figure I didn't buy. Well, It's one of the only ones I didn't buy. We have the Batman based on Detective Comics number 1000. Now, this is supposed to be the standard Batman for the line, and personally, I didn't think it looked great. Super tiny head, weird body proportions. When I saw this, I was instantly concerned about this line. It's something where I was excited, but I was like, Batman in Hellbat suit was the first figure I bought of this line, and it just impressed me so much. For a lot of people, they didn't know what the story behind the Hellbat suit was, but for me, this is something I wanted a toy company to make for about 6 or 7 years. And the thing is that this version of the character was so important to me because I was reading the Batman and Robin comic. Damian Wayne's one of my favorite Robins, and when he died in the comics, it was very heartbreaking. And this was the suit that Bruce built to go raid Apocalypse to get his son back because Ra's al Ghul sold his son's body to Darkseid. For reasons I can't remember. I just remember this badass thing of he basically broke through the gates of Apocalypse wearing this, Bruce Wayne. And then it reappeared when Lois Lane and her son John were getting chased down by the Eradicator and Superman was incapacitated, so they went to the Justice League Watchtower because Lois knew where the Bat Armory was, took out the Hellbat suit, and started beating the crap out of the Eradicator. So in a way, this is a Lois Lane figure. Yeah, it's just super impressive, so 5 out of 5. So Harley Quinn is the next comic figure, but this is one that looks just like the Batman the Animated Series look. It's very cartoony, very goofy. Proportions are all over the place. She is apparently as tall as everybody else, and I didn't like the way she looked. She is branded as a comic figure, does include a trading card of the Harley Quinn number 1 when she debuted in, so was it New Earth at the time? And yeah, I mean, that's a good comic source, the same costume, but this is a very animated look, so I kind of felt like this figure was just out of place everywhere. But overall, I ended up just skipping it. Next up is Superman, based on Action Comics number 1000. DC really restored Superman's classic look at the right time for this figure. And honestly, this is a pretty decent figure. I think that some restrictions come up with the elbows, with the way the hips are very immobile, but overall, I really like it. I wasn't sure if I would. When it first got revealed, I was like, I don't know, single jointed elbows, do I need another Superman? But I really like it. He's got a nice pleasant expression, kind of a neutral expression as opposed to like an angry one, so I kind of feel like that fits the character really well. And honestly, I think it's a good figure, though it's exactly what I expected, so it's going to get a 3 out of 5. Not to say it's bad, but it's about what I expected, because I did a ton of research before actually diving into this. Wasn't sure if I want to jump into a new DC toy line right away, and once I got a standard Superman, I was kind of in at that point. Superman in his Unchained armor from Superman Unchained was also a design that I wanted a figure of for years. It's not entirely 100% the original Unchained design. That design had weapons, it had, no cape, it was a little different. And they did redesign it here for the figure, which I actually kind of like it a little bit more. The colors definitely pop better, and the Mazinger Zet wings are pretty cool. I gotta say, I really like those. They do come off if you do want kind of a more streamlined look, but yeah, pretty neat. The only thing I could really complain about is that the hips don't have a lot of range of movement, kind of they just bump into the sculpt, and he has open hands. I would have just preferred fist if he wasn't coming with any accessories to hold. But other than that, 4 out of 5. So next up, we're looking at animated-based figures. First of all, we have Batman the Animated Series, Batman. I wasn't a fan. I did a lot of collecting at DC Collectibles, BTAS line, as well as, this random other figures they made, and I just really wasn't feeling this one. Take all that I said and apply that to Superman the Animated Series, Superman. As a huge Green Lantern fan, I almost picked this figure up, but ended up passing. It's Green Lantern John Stewart from Justice League Unlimited. Same story, third verse at this point. It just didn't work for me. Now, moving on to our only live action figure of Series 1, we have Green Arrow from the Arrow TV show Season 7. Now, this is a figure I picked up not with the initial batch. I waited a while. I just saw it at the comic shops, thought, sure, why not? And it's perfectly underwhelming. I kind of hoped for a little bit more. I like the bow being pre-sculpted with the arrow included, except mine was super warped out of package, and his articulation keeps running into itself. I'm going to give him a 2 out of 5. So starting off, the Build-A-Batmobile wave. It wasn't a Build-A-Figure, it was Build-A-Batmobile. We'll get to that in a second, but the first figure of this wave was Batgirl from the Art of the Crime storyline. This was her most recent costume when this figure came out, so good job, McFarlane Toys. You do what Hasbro and Mattel never could, which is get a costume out while the costume is active in the comic. That's an impressive thing. I think that she's changed since then. I haven't been reading Batgirl in a few years now, so I actually haven't read the comic this is from. But overall, not a super big fan of this costume design. I think the mask is probably the weakest part. But the figure turned out nice. She's got good articulation. The only really complaints I have is that she can't hold her batarang. It's just too big for her hand. The grapnel gun just sort of droops over time, but it's cool that it's like in a pre-posed burst, like it's shooting out. And then the figure is super tall. For some reason in the first wave, everybody was 7 inches tall, except for the 2 armors. Not necessarily if they were supposed to be that tall. So, a little tall, but overall I'm going to give her a 3 out of 5, because I actually was not underwhelmed. It was about what I expected. But I gotta say, it's a lot nicer than I anticipated. Next up is Nightwing from the storyline Better Than Batman. This is his Rebirth costume, and yes, it's funny because the card reads Nightwing Better Than Batman like he's bragging, and I love it. But overall, this is a figure I wasn't initially going to pick up. I was like, man, I've got a lot of Nightwings, I've got other ones I like more. But once I got it in hand, I actually really liked it. And the reason I got him and Batgirl, by the way, was because they announced Red Hood. I was like, oh, they're doing Bat Family, and I'm in. I love the Bat Family. Like the Batman family more than Batman. So I was in at that point. And this is actually a really nice figure. The articulation works really well. The double jointed elbows are great. I was actually pleasantly surprised at what kind of cool poses they could go in. And that head sculpt is pretty spot on Dick Grayson. I wasn't sure in photos, but having it in hand, it's pretty spot on. So I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5. The last figure of the Build a Batmobile wave is the Batman Who Laughs. For those that don't know, this is an alternate universe Batman who was infected by Joker poison when he killed the Joker. His universe ain't fun, but this figure is pretty dang good. This was the character that jumped out at me as a, hey, they're making stuff that Mattel never got to. I had all the other characters in Series 1 in some figure form, but the Batman Who Laughs was new, and it was one I did want. I think the character is totally overexposed in the comics, personally speaking, but I really like the figure. Overall, he's a decent figure. The articulation could have been a little bit better, and I think that his head is just so reserved. I felt like he's just smiling. He's not like the maniac that I know the character to be, so I'm going to give him a 3 out of 5. So by purchasing Batgirl, Nightwing, and the Batman Who Laughs, you get rewarded with this. It's a Batmobile. It rolls. It's not big enough to scale with the figures. It's, bigger than a Hot Wheels. It really doesn't scale with basically anything. The only thing I found is that, I don't know if this was worth the extra $5 a figure, because that's the one factor here, is that the Build-A-Figure figures cost $25, not $20, so that way more money can go into the figure and the parts. For an extra $15, it's not bad. Did I need it? No. Am I going to rate it? No. It's not an action figure. I don't know how to rate this. I guess I'd give it a 3. Moving from one vehicle to another, we have the Bat-Raptor. Now this was a, I think, $30 vehicle released with the first series of figures. This is based on the Batman Who Laughs miniseries. It was used by actual standard Earth Prime Batman. But this thing's pretty cool. Big, chunky, rolls really nice. The front section actually extends for a speed boost mode. Doesn't come with a figure, but it does come with a trading card, which I really appreciate. Overall, it's actually nicer than I expected. Didn't blow me away necessarily, but the rubber tires were really cool, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Kicking off Series 2, we're going with the live action figures first, because they came out first, and we have Wonder Woman, as seen in Wonder Woman 1984. This figure came out like 6 to 8 months before the movie. That was just because, well, McFarlane had the figure in production, was ready to release it, the movie was ready to come out, and then the global crisis hit, and yeah, the movie did come out. But the figure still did. Instead of holding them back, they still released them. I'm glad they did, because that means they're still around now that the movie's out. But, talking about the figure itself, very nice overall. I thought when they first revealed it, their legs looked long, but the more that I put her in action poses, it worked out. She looks really good, and I love the lasso options, having, 2 options, and I like that one's an open lasso. Not enough Wonder Womans have that, especially for this movie, where she used primarily her lasso. I'm glad that she has it. So overall, I'm going to give this figure a 4 out of 5. To accompany Wonder Woman is Wonder Woman in her golden armor. Now, I won't give anything away for those that haven't seen the movie, because I know it's not available to everyone to see, but this is part of a climactic scene in the film, and I'm really glad it got into an action figure form, because regardless of its usage in a film or not, this is a great looking costume. Overall, great figure, just like the previous Wonder Woman, 4 out of 5. Alright, our first video game figure of the line is Batman from Batman Arkham Asylum. I love the Arkham games, I love the Arkham universe, it's one of my favorite Elseworlds for DC, and I bought a lot of figures from him. At first, I was like, I don't know if I want to get another Batman. Do I need another Arkham Batman? And I saw people get them, and they did cool poses with them, and I was like, I want them. And I love that he comes with accessories. He's got, the line launcher, he's got the smoke grenade. Like, this is cool stuff, I gotta say. Especially with the Arkham characters, Arkham Batman had so many gadgets. I love that we're getting those in figure form. And overall, a pretty solid figure, though it's kind of exactly what I expected, but it was my first standard Batman for the line, and I've got to say I'm impressed, but I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I just wish the elbows had more range. That was pretty much it, but overall, a great representation of Arkham Asylum Batman. The Joker from Batman Arkham Asylum is incredible. Wasn't sure if I was going to buy any Batman characters, again, Mattel burnout, but this guy kind of sold me. This is a Joker that can do a really creepy bow and hide things behind him. It's really cool because having double jointed elbows fits with his lanky design, having the toe joints allows him to kind of step kind of carefully, and this dude's just really impressive. I looked at this Joker figure, and I said, well, gonna need that. And, oh boy, I think it became a slippery slope ever since. But overall, 5 out of 5. Starting our comic figures is Azrael from Batman Curse of the White Knight. Wow, this was the moment I said, holy crap, McFarlane Toys is onto something. And this is true, because Azrael is a character that's barely had any figures despite being Batman related. A lot of Azrael Batmans, not many Azraels. Mattel made 1, DC Direct made 2, both based on the Arkham games. This caught my attention. Like, it just grabbed me by the face and said, hey, pay attention to me. And it is incredible. Obviously a 5 out of 5. But the fact that this is a fully sculpted figure, he's large, he's imposing, the fire effect on the sword, the design is great. And not only is the design great and invocative of Azrael, whether or not you're knowing of the White Knight source material, it's amazing. This is a great figure, and he's, again, a $20 figure. I still can't believe that this line is working at standard action figure prices. But this is incredible, and the figure itself is amazing, but the part that impresses me the most is the fact it is so spot on to Sean Murphy's art from Batman Curse of the White Knight that it's just breathtaking. And I didn't even realize how accurate it was until I got to read Curse of the White Knight. I was waiting for a trade paperback. This figure was out before the trade collection of Curse of the White Knight. And that turnaround with McFarlane Toys has impressed me immensely. And enough gushing about Azrael. We got 2 other White Knight figures. Let's get to them. Next up is Batman from Batman White Knight. Now this is incredible. This was the Batman, like, where Arkham Batman was like, okay, I'll try. This was the Batman where I was like, oh man. And that's mostly because his elbows work great. But the sleek design, the look, the accuracy to the comics. You can look at the card, you can look at the figure and realize that is like the same art style. It's really, really impressive. Whereas previous comic figures were kind of taking artistic liberties, and even live action figures, the White Knight wave was so spot on that I ended up getting these figures without having read Batman White Knight or Curse of the White Knight. I read them after I got the figures. Because I got the figures, I wanted to read the comic. And that is something so powerful that no other comic book based toy line can do, I think. 5 out of 5. Probably my favorite Batman of the year, but there's other Batmans, and we'll get to those later. The Joker for Batman White Knight just continues the fantastic work. The accuracy of the comics is just incredible. This is something where I can definitely see that Todd McFarlane and his team, they're comic book guys. I mean, obviously Todd McFarlane's a comic book guy, he's a comic book creator, but they have such an attention to detail to these things, and they finally got to show that with this White Knight wave. This Joker's a 5 out of 5, absolutely. I love that it has 2 heads. I did a split screen here, I don't own 2 of these. I love the options, and the articulation, the style of this figure is just so good. So the next wave of figures was exclusive to Walmart from August to November of 2020. But the first figure here we have is Batman from Earth -1, also known as Batman the Devastator. This is a alternate universe Bruce Wayne who got infected with the Doomsday virus and is the Superman facsimile for the Dark Knights. And this is an amazing figure. Huge, chunky, really big, really weighty. The only complaint I think we could have is that he's a little short. He's supposed to be 8'10", but it's a 7-inch scale, and he's about the same height as everybody. But I'm going to forgive it because the figure's amazing, and it really blew me away at how solid this was. So, 5 out of 5. Next up is Batman from Earth -32, also known as Batman the Dawnbreaker. This is a Bruce Wayne who got a corrupted Green Lantern ring and went crazy with power. So he's kind of like a zombie Batman Green Lantern. And honestly, I really like the figure. He looks really cool, beautifully sculpted, pretty much all new parts, and that bat construct is pretty awesome. It's just like he's got like a swarm of bats coming around him. So overall, 4 out of 5. Next up, Batman from Earth -44, also known as Batman the Murder Machine. Now this is a Bruce Wayne that got corrupted by a rogue AI program and acts as the cyborg facsimile for the Dark Knights. And he is so cool. I know that like it's not like the most insanely over-designed thing, but it's actually just, it's so sleek. It's so slim. He's got double jointed elbows and knees. He's got that really cool like tendril thing, plus a normal hand if you don't like that. And I love that the opposite hand is kind of like a posed hand. Not something to hold something, because it doesn't come with anything to hold, but just something that complements a pose. Excellent figure. Totally a 5 out of 5. Next up is the Grim Knight. This is a character debuted in the Batman Who Laughs comic as the Batman Who Laughs Enforcer. And his story is that he is from an alternate universe where Bruce Wayne, as a child, after his parents were gunned down in front of him, picked up the gun and shot the shooter. And it spiraled out of control, and he's essentially a professional assassin. And this figure is pretty dang cool. Not 100% accurate. I do wish he had the cape he had in the comics, but other than that, I think it works out. The bundle of guns on his back just looks nuts. The fact that we got realistic guns and not, pew-pew sci-fi guns is a big step up. And overall, I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5. Booyah! Our last animated figure of the year is Cyborg from the Teen Titans animated series. We had, gotten DCAU figures early in the year, and I thought that was where we're going with animated stuff. And then, boom! Teen Titans out of nowhere, and super stoked. I remember when this figure got revealed during McFarlane Toys' stay-at-home Comic-Con thing. Their designers were all like, we loved the show, and we wanted to make a figure, so we started with Cyborg. It's also our first Cyborg in the line, and I do like that variety. It's not always just comic. It's like, hey, here's Cyborg from Teen Titans. And hopefully, they said they want to do the rest of the team if they can, so hopefully this figure did well. I know a bunch of people that weren't even collecting this line that picked up this figure because it's Cyborg from Teen Titans. And I love that the way the figure is sculpted lines him up just with the other McFarlane figures, so if you want to throw a Cyborg in the display, he'll go in, even though he's based on an animated series. Which is wonderful. 5 out of 5. Kicking off the comic figures is the Flash from DC Rebirth. Okay, guys, I have to say this, and I don't take this lightly. This is the best Flash action figure of all time. At least comic-based. This is the Flash. Oh boy, am I going to talk about this with so much love. I own a lot of Flash figures. Flash is one of my favorite DC heroes. I'm a big Wally West fan specifically, but still, there's a lot of Flash figures. I picked up all the ones from Mattel. I've gotten some from DC Direct. None of them could do that. Run properly, where it doesn't look awkward and weird. This is a case where toe joints, even though I don't necessarily need toe joints on every figure, is coming in handy. The lightning effects give him a kinetic energy. The fact we have one hand splayed out and one is a fist gives him direction. And look at this. He is unsupported by anything else but his foot. And the fact that the foot pegs into a lightning effect, which pegs into the base so that the foot can be at an angle, so that he can actually be supported on just one foot like he's running, is incredible. I cannot believe this figure came from the same line that Detective 1000 Batman came from in just under a year. Heck, it wasn't even a year. This is where McFarlane Toys impressed me so much, because we went from a line where I wasn't sure if I was going to buy anything to a line where I have almost every figure. And this right here cemented it for me. This is amazing. If I could rate it higher than a 5 out of 5, I would, but this blew me away. Just absolutely incredible figure. Next up is the Joker from DC Rebirth. Now this is our first technically, our first retool repaint figure. Everything else has been a unique mold. There's been some variants, but everything else has been a unique mold until this one. But this one is so good, it doesn't matter, because the Arkham Asylum Joker this is based on is already amazing. And they gave this an entirely new jacket. The whole torso is a new rubber overlay. Brand new head that's super maniacal, just like I like the Joker characters. A new crowbar, and he reused the gun from the White Knight Joker. So you got a really good Joker figure. I expected to rank this a 3 out of 5 because I went into it expecting, oh, I'm just going to like it just as much as the Asylum Joker. But that head sculpt really won me over, so I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5. Our next Batman White Knight figure is Azrael in his Batman armor from Batman Curse of the White Knight. Wow, this is a great redesign. The cape, the armor, brand new design for Azrael Batman that's evocative of the original design. And I think McFarlane Toys did change it here and there from the original artwork. I know they took the spines off the back of the legs, which is good because those would probably have broken off. So overall, great figure, just like Azrael before. He's a 5 out of 5. I love that he has the sword still. That's something I wish original Azrael Batman had. Next up, we have the first figure from the Batman the Merciless Build-A-Figure wave with Robin from Earth -22. Also known as the Crow Robin. There are many of these that work for the Batman Who Laughs, not of their own free will. They are these crazed, Jokerized Robins, and McFarlane Toys did a cool thing and made 3 different head variants. And then they were randomly packed. So I don't have the other 2 head variants. The one I have specifically is the one that looks like he's got a broken jaw. I nicknamed him Jason Todd. But yeah, this is a cool figure, and I love the metal chain on it. But yeah, it's I kind of wish he came with extra heads, but you know, it's something that if I find the other 2 head variants in a store, I'll get them. But overall, a really impressive figure, 4 out of 5. So here we have Batman from Dark Knight's Metals #1's variant covers. This isn't specifically based on a variant cover, but it is the Rebirth Batman design, except he's been through hell. I love the cape, though. So many Batman figures just have these straight capes. This one's just out to the side. It's torn. He's got damage on his costume. He's wielding a couple axes. This looks awesome, even if I don't think this ever happened in the comic. I read most of Dark Knight's Metals event. I read all the main miniseries, but I gotta say, this is pretty cool as an action figure, and I really like it. It's probably my standard Batman for the shelf now, until we get another one, because every Batman keeps getting better. I love that this one has double jointed elbows. I'm hoping that more Batmans in the future have that, because this works really well for them. So overall, a 5 out of 5. The next one is the Batman Who Laughs with Sky Tyrant wings from the variant cover to Hawkman #18. So this is a weird one because this is our first time we're getting Hawk wings for a character in the line, and it's not Hawkman, not Hawkwoman, not even Sky Tyrant, but it is Batman Who Laughs from a variant cover. I expect to see these wings again. They're magnificent, they're articulated, they look nice, they're really sculpted and detailed. And this Batman Who Laughs uses the same arms and legs and an inner torso, but a new jacket. And the thing I love about it is the new maniacal head sculpt. In fact, you can swap it over to the other figure, and I'm doing that once the video's done because, oh, it looks so much better. I really love the head sculpt on this. That being said, this is a figure based on something that never happened. He did infect Hawkman and reawoken Sky Tyrant, the Earth 3 Hawkman, but he never took his wings in the comic. It was only on the cover. So I'm going to give him a 3 out of 5 because I don't know why they made it, but I'm really glad they made that head and those hands because those are just so much better than the first figures. Next up, we have Superman in his infected disguise. Now, this is also from the recent comics, very recent comics, and oh, it's pretty cool. He uses the same legs as the previous Superman, and I think the same arms, but a new torso design that I really hope carries over to a new Superman later. But I love the torn cape, the crazy Jokerized eyes. A Jokerized Superman is not something I necessarily needed, but it looks really cool. And those hands are neat. Hopefully some of the stuff gets reused for Bizarro, because it's a neat figure. I want to give it a 4 out of 5, because, yeah, he's good. And the Build-A-Figure himself, Batman the Merciless. A Batman who has the power of Ares, is the Wonder Woman facsimile for the Dark Knight's Metal, and is the tallest figure in the line, and this is a line full of really big figures. Now this is a Build-A-Figure that would cost you an extra $20 on top of buying 4 figures, because they are $5 more for the Build-A-Figure parts. Oh, so worth it. This is not something they could have fit in a $20 price point, I don't think, because of the metallic colors, and the extra paint, and the larger size. So yeah, I'm okay paying extra because this dude is amazing. Build-A-Figures as a model is something I don't totally agree with. Needs to happen, but I think that McFarlane Toys found a good way to do it. Increase the price a bit so that the main figures don't suffer, and neither does the Build-A-Figure. This is a fully featured figure with accessories. The only thing he's missing is a trading card and a base, and if that's my only complaint, then he's a 5 out of 5. Next up is Deathstroke from Batman Arkham Origins. This figure was a notable shift in my mentality going into this line. Whereas before I was looking at, oh, that's a cool figure. Oh, that's a cool design. Oh, that's something I never had before. This figure, I pre-ordered and wanted as soon as I saw it because I wanted a Deathstroke for my McFarlane Toys display. This is not the comic Deathstroke. I don't necessarily even like Arkham Origins Deathstroke's design so much that I needed a figure of it. There was 2 others before and I never got either. I love Arkham Origins, by the way. Shout out to Arkham Origins, you're underrated. But I gotta say, this was I wanted a Deathstroke for my DC Multiverse display. That's a big jump. This line has impressed me enough to a point where I'm buying characters not because necessarily of the figure, but because I want that character in this scale, in this style. And he's a good figure. I think I forgot what number. Yeah, I gave him a 4 out of 5 because he met my expectations. He didn't exceed them, but it's just nice. It's nice having this feeling of, I just want more figures for this line. Next up, we have our first 2-pack, this being Batman Earth -52, also known as Batman the Red Death, and The Flash from DC Rebirth. Now, a little explanation here. This is a Amazon exclusive 2-pack that is exclusive until spring of 2021, where it'll be available from all retailers. Again, love that model for exclusives. And yeah, you have a fully new figure in the Red Death and a Flash who has different hands and a different head. Of note, my Flash came with the same hands that the retail one did, and I contacted McFarlane Toys on their customer support line, and they sent me out replacement hands, which was really nice. It was only a couple steps to verify, and they sent them out, showed up super quick, so I had the figure as intended. They also come with this really cool rock base, which I've been using with the Dark Knight specifically, and their cards are holofoil. You don't know how happy that makes me. It shouldn't make me that happy, it's not that exciting, but I like holofoil cards. All the 2-packs do that, and I think it's great. They also still come with the circular black stands that every figure should come with, which is really nice because that way I can switch them over to characters like the Merciless, who doesn't come with one. But overall, I gotta say that I think that when it comes to this 2-pack, it's very uneven. I absolutely give the Red Death a 4 out of 5. He's an essential character for the Dark Knights, but the Flash, he's got like this really gnarly, angry expression. I don't mind the hands so much, but the head just doesn't feel Barry. It doesn't feel Barry Allen. But as people have digibashed and repainted, it looks great as Reverse Flash, so I'm hoping this figure just comes out again, just in yellow. That's all I really need. But overall, I'm glad I got the set. I think the rock base is cool. I love the Red Death. I don't think Red Death's coming out singly. And whereas a company like Hasbro would do something like this, I'd be a little bit more like, oh man, you make me buy like a weak figure to get a good one. We just did that with Storm and Thunderbird last year. But with McFarlane Toys, they built up such goodwill by making like 20 plus figures, all unique molds, that the Flash is like the only one that's only very minorly different, even then he still has new parts, to get Red Death. And I don't actually mind that. So overall, I think that figure-wise, the 2-pack is a little uneven, but it's not a bad deal. Especially there's no upcharge. It's a $40 2-pack, and these are two $20 figures, and they still got their stands and cards. I like the stands and cards. And our final figure of 2020 for DC Multiverse under McFarlane Toys is Thomas Wayne Batman from Flashpoint, a Time Target exclusive from December to March of 2021. So this figure just slipped out, just barely, to qualify for 2020, and oh, he's fantastic. And Target handled it beautifully. All my stores apparently got about 6 of them each, and I was able to pre-order mine, and it shipped from the website, and it was in stock on the website for a very long time, if not still. It's available, and it'll be available to other retailers in the spring. I like this. Here's a figure that's exclusive to a store for about 3 months or so. It takes all the stress out of it. Like, if I didn't find this Batman at Target, I could find him somewhere else later. And I like having that hope, as opposed to the, oh, you missed the pre-order, well, it's gone forever, which is what happened with G.I. Joe Classified. So I'm really, really happy with this figure, not just for availability, but he's really, really good. The pistols are great. They can holster in the slots. He can actually pose to holster them, which is something that's so cool. It's unnecessary in a way, but so satisfying. And yeah, absolutely a 5 out of 5. Probably my favorite Batman of the year, except the White Knight one exists. That Dark Knight's Metal one's good too. Alright, so we're going to go over the Chase variants just real quick. I didn't buy any of them, so we're not going to worry about reviewing them, but I just want to put them down for the record. We've got Batman Detective 1000 in blue, Batman the Animated Series in blue, Joker Arkham Asylum in bronze, Batman Arkham Asylum in bronze, Batman Arkham Knight in gold, Deathstroke Arkham Origins in gold, and a Batman vs. the Joker Arkham Asylum 2-pack where they're both covered in green blood. So here it is. All 30 figures and 2 vehicles I picked up out of 39 releases in DC Multiverse. Not including variants, of course. This is more than I ever expected to have. I thought Hellbat and Unchained Superman were going to be it. But look at where we are now. I gotta say, hats off to the McFarlane Toys team. They really took a line that seemed like it was off to a shaky start and turned it around so quick. This is impressive. This was hard, but here's the top 10. Number 10, Superman. Number 9, White Knight Batman. Number 8, Murder Machine. Number 7, Devastator. Number 6, Cyborg. And the top 5. Number 5, Azrael. Number 4, Thomas Wayne Batman. Number 3, Batman the Merciless. Number 2, Hellbat Armor. Number 1, The Flash. I think it was always going to be The Flash. That was obvious, but making this list was tough. There's a lot of great figures in this line, a lot that I really loved. But this top 10 was personal preference. It was a lot of stuff that I wanted for years, a lot of stuff that was better than everything we ever got before. Great year of action figures. Before we wrap things up, there's the Batman Who Laughs, regular with the Sky Tyrant wings, head and hands. I think it just makes the figures so much better. So that does it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment down below. Tell me what your favorite figure of the year was, or if you have any questions about the line or any figure that I didn't answer in the video itself. Also be sure to like the video, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell to keep up with future uploads. The next upload will be the Power Rangers Lightning Collection rundown video for 2020, and that'll be the last rundown of the year, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, check out my graphic designer on Twitter, DarkClaw643. Check out Hero Club at hero-club.com for DC news and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.